Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Oluwasegun Owowa. I am the Sales and Marketing Manager for Kasookoo Communications Global and UAV UK Limited. Welcome to our webinar titled Business Communication in the Era of Dispersed Workforce. This is our maiden edition, and we are glad to have you on board. Our objective is to educate our participants on global trends and help you plug into the evolving trend of remote working. Let me introduce you to our distinguished speakers who are joining us remotely. Our first speaker is Mr. Amar Javid. He is a co-founder and CEO of UAV Limited and Kasookoo Communications Global. Our second speaker is also joining us remotely from Lagos, Nigeria. He is Mr. Akin Braithwaite, the MD, Kasookoo Communication, Nigeria. And with us at the back end is Wakas Karim, the head of technology, Kasookoo Communication Global. Before our first speaker addresses us, I would like to provide some information on housekeeping rules. First, if you have any question in the course of the webinar, please drop them on the chat box. Secondly, if there is connectivity disruption while any of our speakers are addressing us, please wait for a while. It will be resolved. I would like to invite Mr. Amar Javid to give us his first presentation now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shagan, and thank you for inviting me to this webinar. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amar Javed, and I will be speaking to you for the next 10 to 15 minutes. And I would like to extend a massive gratitude to all of you for being here and being part of our webinar. I hope we will be able to provide useful information to you during the course of the next 1 hour. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We're as keen to learn from you as we are to share what we know. So I will quickly give you a very high-level strategic overview of the business communications industry. So I would start by sharing my screen. Hope you will be able to see this content if possible. Okay, I'm assuming that all of you can see the content here. So a little bit about myself again. Why am I speaking to you here? I've been very, very lucky to be able to gain some direct experience to African business landscape through our work with UAV. We have partnered with one of the leading telecom brand in Africa, and through that we were able to serve more than 10,000 businesses across the continent in about 15 African countries, and we were very, very we received some accolades and accreditations from the industry bodies, for which we are extremely humble and proud. And you could see here a bit of the industry breakdown. So we were also very that we were able to serve industries from so many sectors. So I'll move on. And so what are we talking about today? So we are here discussing about the business communications market and how it has affected the way businesses work today with regards to their working environments and so on. So before I jump on to present and the future, I would like to take a step back to see a bit of a historical context to this industry, right? So I want to go back 2 decades ago, and I would like to you to think about, imagine 20 years ago, how was the business communication working? How were you working today in your daily work? So the key pattern, and obviously I come from West, I'm based in London. So the key pattern, obviously, that I have seen in my working career is that about 20 years ago, the big revolution that happened was the cloud and the cloud internet. The internet was slowly coming from a nascent technology to all of a sudden it started to become more and more reliable. And the innovators at that time came about voice over IP technologies that allowed businesses and consumers, obviously. This is where Skype was born. So the businesses were able to use voice over IP, meaning that instead of using landline phones or instead of deploying local private telecom exchanges in their premises, they started to leverage the cloud. Put in the cloud, meaning that put somewhere in a server, and then it can be used by multiple customers or multiple users at the same time through the internet, right? And the key enabler for this change was the improved internet that we have seen in the West, i.e. Americas and the Europe. As the internet technology and the internet adoption and the internet reliability, internet speeds were increasing, the companies realized that they do not need to make that big investment, and they can just need a good internet and some phones at the end of it, and they can benefit from the same big infrastructure that only large companies could afford. And that increased the penetration from very large organization to anybody, literally any company, regardless of their size, to benefit from the same reduction in cost, improvement in the customer support that they could offer to their clients. So fast forward, what happened? So the era of outsourcing, right? Smart companies very quickly realized, especially in the West, that now with this telephony and technology and cloud communications in place, they no longer need to have staff operating from let's say the expensive countries like UK, Europe, West. So they started outsourcing a lot of work to Africa, India, especially for the call center work, and made a lot of profits out of that trend. So fast forward, we're talking about the era of 2010, and the next major technology enabler that came was the smartphone and the 4G. So now you are not you are further liberated. You do not have to be in the premise of the organization where you have a better internet connection, but with 4G you can be anywhere and you can still have a very good reliable internet connection to be able to benefit from the same services. And on the other hand, whereas with the previous trend, the devices that would connect to the internet were mainly PCs or the IP desk phones, the physical phones, but they were IP enabled, so they were internet enabled. All of a sudden, this device, the smartphone, it is as powerful as a PC. In fact, some of the new smartphones are actually way more powerful than your normal desktop computers. So this actually further enabled anyone who has access to a smartphone and a good internet connection over mobile to work from anywhere and be able to still realize the same benefits. And that led us to something like a cloud PBX in the cloud, again, the same technology, but the key additions, as you can see in this picture, are instead of those dumb old devices, now you can operate from any device. You can operate from your PC, you can operate from your smartphone, or if your company can afford, you can still operate from, you can still have IP desk phones and so on and so forth. So doesn't matter which device you consume the service on, you can be connected to your staff, you can receive customer service calls, you can make cheap calls within your company or outside your company, and the organization can actually realize a lot of benefits. And soon they started to realize that actually, with all of this technology that is available, why do we actually need to pay for expensive offices? So as going as back as 2010, we were seeing the trend of remote working, where the organization started to encourage their workforce to operate from their work offices, remote offices, satellite offices, co-working offices, and all of these terms, these buzzwords started to be heard and seen in the industry. But doesn't matter the terminology. Essentially, the organization started to realize that there are huge amount of efficiency savings to be realized, number one. And also, interestingly, as the organizations were starting to see the new generation of workers, people who were born, let's say in 2000, in the era of 2000 or late 90s, they realized that they are actually way more productive and way more flexible, and will appreciate and enjoy their work given the flexibility to work from home, maybe not 5 days a week, but maybe 1 day a week, 2 day a week. That would basically be seen as a big incentive at work. So moving on, basically, let me take you to some of the trends. So now I'm talking about an era in the West of 2018, 2019. So I bring up this picture just to further help you understand that it is not only the small companies that were benefiting from this trend. So I'm sure you must be aware of PwC, globally one of the so-called big fours, has actually, in a move in June 2018, decided to hang up on the landline and allowed all of their 18,000 staff in the UK, which have been operating from 24 offices, to switch to the mobile. And they started to retire the landlines and the desk phones at the office, right? So a big change, a seismic change that we have noticed in 2018, and hence this became the topic for a news on BBC. Moving on, and this is actually very fresh, and this is before COVID-19, right? This is not before COVID has impacted or started to impact the UK. Again, a very big moment, and that's a news from September 29, 2019. And another big organization, KPMG, has told its staff that it has started to take the mobile phones, the work mobiles that it has been giving as a perk, as a work tool for years and years, has started to take them back and has started to instead leverage on those business communication technologies more and more to consolidate savings and improve its profitability. So these are some of the trends. Moving on. Now, let me quickly move to the African context. Probably since I've been engaged with Africa for good 2 decades now, sadly, the African businesses haven't really been able to really benefit from this trend, and mainly because of the technology infrastructure. Unfortunately, the landline internet penetration was not as good as it is in the West. So largely, the African business have, excuse me, not been able to really benefit from all of that for quite some time. However, the situation is changing, right? The situation is changing again because the enablers are now changing again. And let me again bring this up, the smartphone. This is the biggest enabler now in Africa, that with the high penetration of smartphones, basically your staff, your workers, they have a very powerful device in their hand, right? This is powerful than a PC. And also with the growing 4G, basically you have now the enablers to really benefit from the same trends, the same technologies that, for example, companies in the West have been benefiting from more than a decade or so. So I put up this picture, the CUG, and this is probably the most innovative thing I could have found in the African context of work. Probably some of you are familiar, but some of you may not be. But CUG is just a SIM card. And if you go to the telco and you say, I have 20 staff and I want them to be cheaper calling, they would put all of those 20 SIMs under a group, and that would allow the company to make free calls within that group. And really, that's it. It doesn't give you other collaboration capabilities. It doesn't give you the Zoom type feature that we are using right now, right? It doesn't give you video conferencing. It doesn't give you chat. It doesn't, and so many businesses have to rely on WhatsApp, which unfortunately is not suitable for the business use, because you as a business has no control over what's going on under your name. So anyways, I think I'm actually 2 minutes over. So I'm gonna wrap up my talk here. What I want to tell you guys is that there's a massive opportunity for you as the businesses, as the champions in your market, to use the enablers that you have, to use the smartphone enabler, to use the technologies, and more so, Africa has very young population. So you have people in your workforce who are very smart, who are very savvy, and who are very good with technologies. And so you are actually at a perfect inflection point for a local innovation to find out and benefit from these technologies, and improve your organization and your work. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening to me. I'm more than happy to take your questions on the chat. So I'm active on the chat, in the Zoom chat that we are here. So please pose any question that you have for me on the chat, and I will reply you. And also we will have a Q&A session towards the end of this session. So I will be there as well to take that. So thanks again for listening to me. And at this point, I would like to hand over to Mr. Arkin Brithway to take us to what exists now, and how can you as African businesses can leverage this amazing technology environment for the benefit. So thanks again, and over to you, Mr. Brithway.
Hi, everyone. Can everybody see me? Okay, I think I need to share my screen. Okay, right. Can you all see me?
Yes, I can see you. I can see and hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. Right, so here we are. Thank you very much, Amma, for your wonderful journey through what's been going on through the world, and bringing us right down from 30,000 feet and now here we are coming to Nigeria. And I'd like to say a big welcome to everyone that's here. I know we have quite a number of attendees from various organizations, captains of industry. Welcome. Thank you very much for sharing some of your busy time with us, because as some of you have told me, regardless of the lockdown, you are still working flat out. In fact, I think a couple of people told me that they're working now probably harder because everything, you know, and everybody knows they are not going anywhere. So I hope you found the walkthrough that Amma has just given us very, very useful. This is going to be a very, very practical engagement. And by the end of it, I truly believe that you're going to get real value out of it. So let me share my screen. Okay, let me know if you can all see my screen. Shagun, can you please give me an indication? Okay, so, right, thank you. Right, so here we go. This, as you know, is the business communications in the era of the dispersed workforce that we will be dealing with today, and Amma has touched on a particular aspect of this. And before I really get into what I'm going to discuss with you, I'd like to actually share my credentials because it's very, very important that you know who is talking to you, and if one actually has the knowledge to be able to do so. And I've spent 30 plus years in various sectors: insurance, excuse me, education, information technology, a bit of a stint in agri, telecoms in Nigeria and the United Kingdom. The last 19 years was spent in telecoms, and of course, before my current stint with UAV and Kasookoo. I have served as regional general manager and the chief customer care executive in Econet Wireless. And those of you who know about the Econet Wireless story know that it changed and became a number of different companies throughout its journey up to today. Now it's Airtel. So very, very interesting times and a very, very wonderful experience, I must say. Then, of course, as customer relations executive in MTN Nigeria. And my responsibilities in these organizations involve network rollouts, sales and marketing strategy and execution, covering 6 Southwest states, and of course, customer service through distributed call centers and retail outlets pan Nigeria. So I'm sure you can be rest assured in the fact that you will get some value by just sitting, listening, and just taking whatever you can grab today. I think there's a delay on my internet here. Okay. So the current business environment, as we all know, is partly why we are all sitting here together. We've been through a lot together. The world has been through a lot, and we're finding ourselves under the cosh of COVID. So here we are in the era of the dispersed workforce, which is essentially the title of this webinar. And what do we mean by the dispersed workforce? Well, as you can basically see from these objects in front of you, the dispersed workforce is spread all over. In some respects, it is planned, and in some other organizations, it's unplanned, as in the case of COVID. Now, for the organizations that have planned their dispersed workforce, they are similar to what Amma has shared with us, in that UWave, for example, is an organization that has employees spread in different continents. In Kasookoo, we have people working in different places, all at the same time in a collaborative manner. So that's planned because we didn't know COVID was coming, but we did this for a number of reasons: cost, efficiencies, and all of these things. And then, of course, majorly taking advantage of technology. And this is how my story with Amma, Javed, and UWave and Kasookoo began, because I really was looking for the opportunity for us to use technology in this country, the same as has been used abroad for a number of years now. And the synergy has been great and it's fantastic, and that's what we're going to be sharing with you today. But first, the bad news. Here is a post from Bloomberg that tells us that there is going to be recession this year in Africa's largest economy, which is Nigeria. And it's not because this is a curse or anything that they wish badly against us, but it's just the reality of the fact that based on the headwind that's coming with the virus and what it's done to other nations of the world, it's in all probability going to mean that we will have recession this year. And if we don't, fantastic. But if we do, those of us here at this webinar would already have been prepared well for it, hopefully. And right at the bottom there, you can see where the Minister of Finance has indeed declared that the government revenues are going to decline by about 40 to 45% this year alone, due to lower oil prices. That's the real bad news. However, on the horizon, there is good news, because we, as an entity, believe that there's a lot of stuff that can really still happen that can help organizations weather the storm and just continue to ride on. The first, of course, is the announcement by the Central Bank of Nigeria that there is going to be a 50 billion naira worth of soft loans to small business enterprises. And this was announced back in March. Now, what this, of course, means is that there is going to be money which is going to be pushed into the system. So the government, this is a good initiative, isn't going to sit down idly and just wait for businesses to keep falling over. So with the money that's pumped into the system, it therefore means that activity, business activity, will continue. So your customers, your clients, your organizations should continue to be able to be in business. The question really is, how efficient are your companies and your activities going to be? Another piece of good news, this was from Punch, indicates that the disbursements may have actually started, because this came out, excuse me, on the 22nd, day before yesterday, and it looks like they've received quite a number of applications already. So if you haven't applied, please do so, because the money is definitely going out. Excuse me, I need to sip on some moringa here. If you've got your cups of coffee, please go ahead. That's much better. I recommend moringa. Very, very wonderful drink. Now, here, look very closely at this date. The 1st of April, 2020. Again, the government has tried to be quite proactive in this. Inaugurated a committee which was set up for cushioning the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Now that's amazing, because here's the committee, and this is their inaugural setup. And they've done this using video conferencing. That's quite amazing. And I would like to say big kudos to government. The government has started being proactive. Now, let me quickly mention that the government is not sponsoring this webinar, just in case you guys think, he's just government spokesman. No. The important thing is that we are looking out there, we're seeing what's going on, and we're quickly trying to log into it and be a part of it. And we all need to be a part of this, because let me mention at this stage that there's a young man, a former colleague of mine, Bayo Adekombi. He published a book called The Future is Shared. And in that book, he really talks about the way the future is going to look today. And he refers to a number of companies and the things that they're doing in a new way. And what I got out of that, one of the key takeouts was really it's about collaboration. It's about information, knowledge share that's going to help us all. And I've been seeing quite a bit of that during this pandemic. So let's all join forces and really line beside government in what it's trying to do here. So this NITDA is the National Information Technology Development Agency. And amazingly, what its terms of reference are, and I pulled out just 2 of its terms of reference. One is to devise suitable strategies for the provision of affordable internet access to individuals and businesses. Now, what does that have to do with you? Well, if you think about it, if internet access becomes more affordable, then that takes away a major bugbear in our ability to do business. And this really should help us catch up with Amma's world. That really should help us catch up with the countries that are really speeding ahead. Because everything, the internet is a leveler. And some of the complaints that I've certainly heard in trying to help organizations jump into this digital age is, well, oh, this is internet enabled, it's gonna rely on internet. Internet is expensive. Well, folks, I'm happy to say to you, based on this initiative, the cost of internet is gonna come down. And even before this, the telcos have been dropping the internet. Competition is also driving the cost down. So that's good for our businesses, and we need to latch onto it. The second thing, of course, is that the government recognizes work from home. The government recognizes that it actually told us to stay at home, and we can't stay at home fiddling and changing nappies throughout the day and the weeks and the months. So the government recognizes it has a responsibility to also create the enabling environment. This is also something that is good for business. And whilst you're at home, some of you may be thinking, wow, this is it. I'm not able to, our activities are down and what have you. But very, very happy to tell you that your activities don't have to suffer too much. There is a way out and there's a way forward. So the new reality, folks, is that there is a seismic shift. Everybody can see that. We've all felt the earthquake under our feet. We cannot do business like we did in the past. Otherwise, we will die a slow or even a fast death, as the case may be. Therefore, we've got to change our style. We mustn't be caught up in the old ways. We must embrace the change. So the slowdown in the world economy is going to affect all businesses. We've already seen that, even as government and as the world economists have been telling us. And unfortunately, and fortunately, there will be winners and losers. And it really depends on us as business owners, as decision makers, to determine whether we are going to be winners. But good news, we're going to be winners. And that's why we are going through this. And that's why we're sharing this knowledge. And that's why at the end of this, we will be revealing to you the Kasookoo engine, the Kasookoo system that is going to help you drive your businesses forward. So what problems do we have to solve? Well, In the digital world, in the digital format, we are going to have to determine how my customers reach the right person when they call my business. Now, think of your business number and your customers calling your business number. Think of your business number as the door. If somebody dials that number, they can't get through to the right person. Essentially, you've shut the door. Essentially, you're saying, we aren't open for business, go away. But if the customer is able to get in and the door is open, the customer goes in and can interact with people in your business. Very, very important that my team, which is now mobile, my team is distributed, is dispersed. How on earth do they even communicate amongst themselves? Do they need to now start to burn their own credit in terms of now calling? Of course not, because there's a better way, and that's the Kasookoo way. My team members need to collaborate with one another, i.e. they need to be able to share documents, screen share, and so forth. How are they going to do it in a dispersed manner? Well, again, the answer is already there. We need to share information, make decisions quickly. Well, guess what? We can do that by conferencing, by video conferencing. And so nothing really majorly suffers, apart from the fact that the factory and the people in the factory need to be able to work. But those in the front office, those in the service dimensions and whatever, can still carry on almost as if nothing happened. Therefore, we need to understand something very, very crucial here. Customers are going to be less forgiving in the current climate, and we can all understand that. If I'm coming to your business and your door is shut and I can't get to the person that I need to get to, I can't get the goods I need to distribute, I can't get you to solve my problem, what am I going to do? I'm going to go somewhere else because the stakes are too high right now. And just imagine two restaurants in this present climate. Restaurant A decides that, well, it's having a problem, COVID is here, so it shuts down. Even though government has said you're in essential services. Restaurant B says, hey, guess what? Maybe I might need to scale down a bit, but I am an essential service. So how are customers still going to reach me? My staff, my office, essentially is closed, the front office, but they decide, oh, there is something I heard, there's something called Kasookoo. They decide to install a Kasookoo system, and then their customers are reaching them. They are still carrying on with business, serving their customers. Restaurant A decides we'll wait till after COVID is over. What do you think is going to happen after COVID is over? Your guess is as good as mine. So if your service can be provided by competition and they're not getting a response from you, they will end up eaten. They will end up with your competitor. Your customers want to speak with you on demand. Don't joke with your customer communications in or outside your office. I don't know how I can emphasize this more, but communication now more than ever before is something that no organization should take for granted. Yes, we used to just throw numbers out there and say, well, these are 10 numbers, you can call us, just any, mini, miny, mo, whichever number you want to pick. The business number wasn't really seen as a major strategic tool. You need to consider that, ladies and gentlemen. You need to develop a business communication strategy, which says, you know what? We want to know how many customers are calling us. And these could also be internal customers. Remember, some of your organizations have an internal customer system, the internal market. And you need for people to be able to get in touch with people. So this world where only one person was responsible for answering the thing isn't going to really cut it. You have to have a distributed approach to this, to your business communication, whereby you're trying to reach person A, not available, it goes to person B, it hunts for person C, D, wherever they may be. That's what's going to cut it. You must be available. That's the key thing here. You must be available to your clients to stay in business, both in the current crisis and downturn, and of course beyond. So I would like to put it to you that every business needs a contact center. Every business needs to consider. Now, in the past, it used to be difficult and expensive to have this because you needed to have a massive building, a massive headquarters to be able to put in all the agents and people, the customer service consultants and what have you. That was the way we used to do it. Certainly when I was managing this space, that was how it was done. But you can see that this building is collapsing here because the message is clear. We don't need to have the brick and mortar in order to be able to run our contact centers for customers to be able to reach us and our customer service frontline. You can actually now have them in the village, in the hamlet, wherever it is where they live, they can be reached because technology, as long as technology is there, you're good to go. You can have the center enabled. So this is 20th century. A lot of our businesses are still locked in 20th century. You have the desk phone, and incidentally, all the desk phones in Nigeria today and all across the world, well, let's say 90%. If they're ringing at all, they're ringing off the hook because nobody is there to answer them. So the desk phone right now is superfluous. It's a superfluous equipment because people still need to get through and it's not coming through your desk phone. So consider that. The big building at the moment is practically 90% empty. And the whole system relies on massive cabling, miles of cabling. And of course, it's capital intensive. The infrastructure is just out of the, and really going forward, if we're to believe what we're told, you need to rework your budgets now. And you need to really, really look at this issue of the capital expensive nature and how you're going to scale down. This 20th century system requires a high cost of maintenance, it's driving it, and irritatingly, it's slow to roll out. And of course, of all things, it's inflexible, because if you want to scale up, scale down, you've got the rolling army of engineers and whatever to get this done. Even a simple tweak, and I'm speaking from experience, believe you me. The greatest irony of all is that your team has left the building. Your team right now is dispersed. Your workforce right now, a large, significant percentage of your workforce are not currently in your building. So rethink about what the building really means to your, and some of you are able to still carry on your business going. At this point, I would just like to pause and ask you to please do something. If you currently run a distributed system, please say yes in the chat. It would be nice to get a sense of how many of us are really really in the game, just to see where we are. Because if we're all in the game, then that's great. And if we're not, then let's put out our hands and then we'll see how we can work through. Remember, I said the future is shared. So let's share our common futures. So we've got to really think about this. How do we fit the jigsaw together? And the answer is a simple one, which we've been alluding to. Amma's alluded to this. It's going to be teamwork online. We have to push our businesses online. The enabling environment is being created. Don't wait for it to be finally created before you move your team online. That's another very important takeout. So look at the remote working scale. There is the office-based team that's sitting there and everybody's in the same location and everybody's doing stuff together, and they think that that is the only way they can work effectively. Then there's the office-based with the work option. That's flexibility. That's what we call flexi time. You can come in at different times and whatever. You can work from home 1 day out of 5 and so forth and so on, which is, you know, pretty cool. Then you have the remote team in one time zone. So in this case of Kasookoo, for example, there's myself and there's other team members, and we're all in the Nigerian time zone. And then there is a remote working in many time zones, which is our parent company, UAV, and we are all over the place, all over the continent. South Africa, Canada, UK, Pakistan, we're all over the place. And then there's a distributed team with the nomads. So this is what your office, the 21st century, is. This is the 21st century office, believe you me. It's in your device. And when you come to think about it, most of what you do today is internet-based. Even your personal lives, your messaging, the emails, the calls, your Snapchats, the picture sharing, everything is now on the internet. So the framework is there, but we're just not using it for our businesses as we should. This, of course, gives rise to some questions. For example, will remote working work in our current environment? Will it work in Africa? Will it work in Nigeria? You know, yeah, they've got very fast systems over there. I've heard all these statements. And if we do go remote and we do, take this on, seriously, how are our employees going to collaborate at a distance? Now, the solution, of course, is cloud technology. We're talking here about a team telephony messaging via one business number with intelligent, interactive, virtual receptionist. And I know this is a lot of it, might sound like garbled tech speak, but really what one is saying here is that the team needs to be one team wherever they are, using a system that ties them all together with one business number. And it could be multiple numbers, but just starting from that basic concept that your business can project that one number and then it can go through to so many people. So that one number is what brings the customers in to the door. They knock on the door and the door opens. They select, they are presented with a virtual receptionist, and they select. So you might have heard it when you call a number and it says, if you want to speak to customer service, press 1. If you want to speak to finance, press 2. If you want to speak to the CEO, press 3, and so forth and so on. So this is what's going on here. And this is the way the 21st century businesses, that's how to convey it. That one number also ties your team together in the back, and they can conference with one another, speak to one another free, and it brings down the cost of communications. And regardless of how small the organization is or how big, you can screen share. So this handles the issue of, well, if they're so far apart from each other, how, like what I'm doing now, I'm sharing my screen with you. You can see exactly what I'm seeing. So it allows us to come together and to collaborate. You can video conference like what I'm doing now. If I needed. I could, I'm seeing some of you, you're seeing me, and all of that is going on as we speak. And it's all hosted in the cloud. And when we're talking about the cloud, again, this is not some kind of magical concept. Your email is already in the cloud. It's not really sitting, being done inside your system per se. Of course, you can download your files from it, but everything you're seeing in your email is really coming and it's being hosted for you in the cloud. So you are already using the cloud. Our system, Kasookoo system, sits in the cloud and it will do a lot for you. So no need for expensive hardware and infrastructure. Remember the 22nd century? So another gremlin has creeped in again. Let me try and erase that. Okay. So no expensive hardware and infrastructure, because you might be sitting there thinking, wow, all this wonderful, powerful stuff, it's going to cost so much. No, okay? It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Okay, so this innovative business communications, as I said, suits all types and sizes of organizations in Africa. It's been configured. We have Africa in mind. We spent months really putting it together and ensuring that it's fit for purpose, here in Africa. I don't know why this keeps happening. This did not occur yesterday, but, okay, we'll see. So mobilize your business communications. Amma talked to us earlier about mobility and the mobile, everything sitting here. I'm talking to you. I actually have like 3 systems going and I'm seeing everything on each of these systems. So that's where it's all at. So your business phone system is in the palm of your hand. You can communicate using your business identity, which means that we all have our personal phones. And when we are calling, whenever you're using your personal phone, if you're even calling on any issue that's business related, it's your personal number that is being projected. Well, what Kasookoo enables you to do is that as you're calling out, it will be your business number that is projected to your customers and to your business associates. That way, you can keep your personal and your business life separate. You can make and record, transfer calls, send and receive messages, and of course, we talked about productivity. So you're productive on the go, on the move, wherever you are. You're flipping calls between your devices and so forth. So it is really fit for the kind of purpose that you need it for today. So it's fit for sole proprietorships, major public companies, government agencies, NGOs, any entity that has services and products for those who need them. So the key questions that you might have, if I haven't already answered, are that, can I have the system deployed quickly? Definitely. It can be deployed so fast you wouldn't believe it. Can I have it installed without telecoms engineers? Definitely. You are the telecom engineer because you configure practically, you can change things on the fly. You can put in your company advert, your company's wonderful greetings and everything. You can inform customers as they're waiting about what you need them to know on the fly. If you're a religious organization, you're a faith-based organization, you can put in stuff that you want your callers to hear. If you're a government agency, you can do the same. Will it cost an arm and a leg? Well, if it did, then it would have no chance of resonating with you. And I'm sure all the finance guys and CFOs and all that kind of stuff will knock it to the side. So no, it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. In fact, it comes at a fraction of what you are currently paying. It wouldn't make sense to be talking to you about dealing with the current downturns and what they are, then looking at something that's costing an arm and a leg. We've dealt with the issue of the infrastructure, and we've knocked all that. You don't have the cable and all this and that. You know, so we've knocked all that away. And so it's a subscription-based service that is really come in terms of affordability. Can it be set up during this period of lockdown? Most certainly, yes. We don't need to come anywhere near you. We can all keep our social distancing and you're good to go because it's all coming down from the cloud, like manna from heaven. How will my customers find out about the business number? Well, again, the wonderful thing about technology now is that you will let them know through technology. Either on your website, you put up the number, or you can send out messaging to them anywhere where they are. And in nanoseconds, your customers will get that information. And as I said, it's a 30-minute transformation. Within 30 minutes, you are good to go, okay? So what I want you to do now is an exercise, because you can't have spent all this time and then still have, you're not touching and feeling it. And the best way to do it is that I'm going to give you a few minutes, just 2 minutes, download the app. You should have the link. Shagun should have posted the link in the chat. Shagun, can you tell me if the link has been posted? So that, okay, great. So the link is in the chat. If you look in the chat, you will see that there's a link. So some of you have the wonderful iPhone, and some of you have the wonderful Samsung. Okay, so you can there's a link to Apple Store and Play Store. Okay, so you just go ahead now, click on the link, and then you see, and it will start downloading for you. Now, the wonderful news is that all of you attending the webinar can get to use this with free minutes for a short period. So go ahead, enjoy it, play with it, try and see whether, yeah, is this thing really fit for purpose? How do we use it? Some people have asked me, you know, perhaps we can even use it within our family. And I said, yeah, by all means, you know, anywhere there's a grouping, you can create that. So once you've downloaded the app, then just invite those team members that you want to sort of like try it out with. Like I mentioned yesterday to some of our friends from Total, they have some peculiar needs. There's, you know, a company might have different needs and it can suit those different needs. And in one particular instance, they have distributors and they have their customers who are the retail sales. And they need to be able to deal with these customers, ensure that they're getting their products on time and so forth. And so they just get in touch through that one number that they're given, and anybody can now fill that number. So even if a person is not available, they don't lose that communication. As we established earlier, if somebody is calling you, they know they can send you an email, but they've decided not to, because they actually want to speak to you. It's a burning reason why somebody has taken the time, picked up the phone, dialed, and then they're hearing the number you're calling is busy. Or it just keeps ringing out. They say, oh, okay, maybe it didn't ring out to them. They try again, and it's still ringing and nobody's picking up the phone. Wow, that business is on the line. So once you've invited your team members, then you set up your incoming call choices. What that means is that you can actually decide who should answer it when the option 1 is pressed, who should answer it when option 2 is pressed, who should answer it when option 3 is pressed. Now you can decide that when option 1 is pressed, that's my customer service unit, and I have 3, 10, 20 people behind that. Well, the magic happens. You can actually get all their 10 phones ringing at the same time. Yeah, you heard me correctly. When the caller calls and selects the option to speak to customer service, all the 10 people who are your customer service, one of them can be in Ibadan, another one can be in Shomolu, another one can be in Ikoyi, another one can be in Kaduna, another one can be in Bauchi. All their phones are going to be ringing at the same time. Now, how's that? I can see some of you are really smiling at that and you're wondering, is this man having us on? You know, has he got some COVID going on here? This is the absolute truth. And those organizations that already have it are really, really enjoying it. And you could be doing the same too. So right now, so it's up to you, you know, give it a try. And then you can always get in touch with us and we will, you know, keep helping to try to put you through and see how we can make sure that we address. So this is what you should expect. Once you've installed it on your phone, you can install it on your PC, you can install it on your laptop. And then all your users need to do, once you've invited them, they'll get, you know, the invite and then they install it. And then you can configure your virtual receptionist. So, you know, in the 20th century, the receptionist would always have to answer the call. You know, imagine 50 calls are coming through and the receptionist is answering these calls. Yes, this is XYZ hospital, you know. Yeah, who would you like to speak to? Oh, hold on, let me try and connect you. And all this is going on. Well, that's 20th century. In 21st century, with this system, once the caller calls, the caller hears whatever message you want them to hear because you put the message up there for the caller. And they'll say, oh, welcome to James and Co. Welcome to X Bank. You know, please let us know who would you like to speak to, whatever you want. You can even, if it's during a particular festive period, you can greet them with the festive period. So the wow, okay. And then they select, the call arrives, they select their option, and it can go to any one of your designated people. And when they're answering the call, you know, sometimes you answer a call and you realize that, oh my goodness, this person needs to actually be speaking to my manager. So you can actually have the person hold on. And while they're holding on, you can actually play some beautiful company advertising, okay, or information that can go across. Now, this is technology. This is innovation. This is what we've managed to create. And while they're holding on, then you can talk to your manager, and then the manager says, yeah, fine, put him through. And you connect that call to the manager, and that goes on. Managers finished speaking, can now transfer that call back to you to then finalize the next steps. What is also wonderful about this is that in your administration, you will have your own portal. And in that portal, you can actually now see. So if your staff aren't answering the calls, you can actually do a check in the back end and see, oh, look, we had so many missed calls today. Why? Because remember, we talked about the business communication strategy, which you do need to establish, and it's so important. So you can check why your calls are being missed and why your staff aren't answering the calls. You can see how many calls are going out. And then that helps you, because any business that is not receiving customer calls is really in trouble. That means that your customer is talking to somebody else. and we need to avoid that. Now, the reverse is also another piece of magic that happens here in Kasookoo, because in the 20th century, your staff are making calls to customers, they're returning calls, giving feedback, telesales, and all of these things. And whenever they're using their own systems, the person they're calling is seeing their personal number. And this is another thing that we have worked out that we need to avoid. And that's exactly what we're doing in Kasookoo. Your business number is always going to be presented. So it is a hybrid, because you're wondering, okay, what happens if I don't have internet at the time and whatever? The system will hunt. If your internet is down, it will go to the GSM layer. So that's also been taken care of. So the next steps, as I want to finalize, is please go ahead, download the app. And if you do need us to have a one-on-one session with you, discuss your needs and everything, please fill the appointment form. We'll be very, very happy to sit with you to during this period, whilst observing social distancing, of course. We can do it all remotely, and we'd be happy to do that. I think Shegun has also posted that in the link. There should be something if you look at the link. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the session. I do apologize that we run a few minutes over, because I know you're all very, very busy. And I think the passing words really are that if you have any questions, please put them in the link. We will come back to you, I promise, because we don't want to hold you up anymore. We did schedule this, and I know there are bankers, there are industry captains and what have you, very, very busy people in here with us. So thank you very much, everyone. I've enjoyed talking with you. I've enjoyed sharing this morning with you, and I know the future is shared. Let's share it together. I'm the Managing Director of Kasookoo Communications Limited, and I'll be happy to help your organization move forward in the digital age and the digital economy. Thank you very much. We'll catch up on the other side of the webinar. Bye for now. So share.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akin, for that insightful presentation. We are really enlightened, and this session has been wonderful. I know we have a few questions. Some of us have been dropping questions. Some of us have been trying to download the app. I just want some of us to drop our questions. We are ready to entertain questions. Question from, if you have any questions, we'd like to entertain your questions. You can indicate by raising up your hand. We don't mind if you want to speak. Okay. BKM say thank you very much. Very useful. We'll be in touch. Okay, we have the URL for their appointments. Okay. So much appreciation. All right. Trying to check if we have more. Okay, you want the presentation. We are going to share the materials via email. Most likely it's going to be the videos. So we would communicate to you via the email for everyone that registers. So you will get a copy of the presentations. Very soon. How soon would the material to get to you? Very soon. Very soon. We are upwardly mobile. You'll get it very soon. Okay. Okay, you want to say something?
Oh, lovely. Thank you. I wanted to respond to a question here. And the questions are moving so fast. It was a question, is there a limit to the number of staff to be connected? The answer is no, there is no limit. You can connect as many members of your staff as are required. So yeah, it's fine. The system, because it's the internet, what happens is that it just continues to be expanded. It's like if you think about Google today, just imagine when you do a Google search, you'll see that it says something like 200 million, or you look at a video on YouTube and you're thinking, what, 50 million, views and so forth, and webinars and stuff are going on. Look, Facebook, and all this is is happening in near real time. So it's the internet. The internet is bigger than any one organization. That's what the internet was built for, to be able to take on the communication throughout the world. Are there future plans for upgrades on the app? If yes, are there costs? Has anyone? Okay, so yes, in fact, in the next few weeks, we should be also integrating the video conferencing element and also the whole sharing capabilities. So yes, we also have had to respond very quickly to the emerging needs. And the beautiful thing is that because we are an agile organization, we've got our feet on the ground here, yours truly. So the beauty is that when we see things that customers and organizations, excuse me, I need another little dash of moringa here. That's so refreshing. Wow. Okay, so as we see things on the ground and as we look and respond, if we don't have it, and if it's popular enough, we will, go ahead and push it to the developers, because we developed this ourselves, so it's all well within our reach. So the costs, in terms of the costing, that we will take on with you, because the thing too is depending on what we have to do, if there's a bespoke nature. But in terms of the cost, it's really, the costs are minimal. And it was designed that way as well, because the whole idea behind this is, and that's the way the world is going, things don't have to be at exorbitant costs, anymore. If it's costly and expensive, then nobody is going to really get that serious value out of it. So that's been taken care of. You don't have anything to worry about. Has anyone come across any imitation? Just so that we're careful if we need to be downloading. Well, remember, you're downloading from the App Store and you're downloading from the Play Store. Now, these are stores that they're not just ordinary stores or ordinary shops. This is why we talk about the way the world, is going. The internet, the security, all of these things. Before you upload something on the internet, it goes through a very, very heavy security into these stores. So once it's in the store, you can rest assured that it's been sized up for security, and you're pretty safe. Yeah. Let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, I just tried to download via App Store and I didn't get a headway. Okay, that's right. How many versions? So we'll get somebody on to you. You shouldn't be experiencing that, at all. Can this be integrated with other work tools? Most certainly, depending on the work tool. So even Microsoft Teams and others like that. There's something I'd like to say too about Microsoft. What Microsoft is realizing, especially with Google, the way Google has opened up the space, Microsoft has realized that, hey, look, listen, we need to be realizing that, the world, we can't shut the door. If we do, people will find, and that's when the open source systems, really came in, on there. I can't remember the name of the most popular one. And that came out because people were saying, hey, look, we don't want a world that is caged, that is shut. Even Apple, I remember I used to shy away from using Apple products because they were just so, closed in. But now Apple's allowing you to put Word, in its system. So yes, there's the APIs now, the application programming interfaces that are allowing applications to talk to one another. So the simple answer to that is yes. Even I'm beginning to sound like a techie now, having spent all this time with these techies, Amma and co. So yeah, again, it can address, it can scale, we have organizations now that are, that are scaled up. We have medical hospitals, so all kinds of institutions, schools, all of these organizations that really need travel, hotel, whatever the nature is, it can be scaled. Again, remember, it's the internet. You might have heard a term called the Internet of Things. It's here, folks. It's here for real. So a lot of what we're talking about now, we're just trying to now leapfrog. We're trying to run because, Africa is being slowly left behind. There's a digital divide. What they say, the digital divide. That means there's a lot of nations who are now digitally, in fact, in some nations, the internet access is now, it's now a, what do they call it? I think, is it a human right in some Scandinavian countries? Internet is, you have a right to internet. So they recognize that the connectivity, the connected world is what is going to make things push ahead and move forward. Okay, so I think that we're good to close now. Shegun, oh, there's another message that's just come in. What's that? Do you have any competitor? For now, Oluwatoyin wants to know if we have any competitor. I expect that there are competitors out there. In everything that you do, if you're selling amala, you will have competitors. So there, but I think we're the best. We are head and shoulders by far the best, and you'll find out. And in fact, there's some competitors that are trying to come in from the outside. And here we are, right with our feet on ground. We can't pay for ground. So we'll take on any competitor. It's important that as we're running businesses anyway, to always do it based on the fact that there will be competition, and, so, hey, what? So what, that's what the world is about. That's what the world requires. It's a competitive world out there. That's why I was saying, and the reference is, people are knocking on the door. If they don't get served, they'll go somewhere else. I think we can pretty much end there. Thank you very much, folks. We definitely need to let people go, and some people need to go and change the nappies Some dads need to go and make lunch now that they're home, and show love. And I guess some meetings also have to, so whatever it is that you're doing, as somebody would say, make sure it's give love, make sure it's profitable, and enjoy yourself. Don't be stressed out. You know, take everything is going to be all right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
All
you.
right.